Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has met the US President Joe Biden. On Twitter he wrote, "On my way to the US to strengthen resilience and defense capabilities of Ukraine." He was later seen leaving from a Polish train station. It is his first foreign trip since Russia invaded in February.
Наступному році обсягом 18 мільярдів євро, який саме зараз.
The Ukrainian president has spoken frequently to world leaders over the telephone and by video call, often from his office in Kyiv. But the surprise visit to a foreign country marks a first since the war began and also signals the importance of Ukraine's relationship with the United States, which has played a leading role in providing military support.
It's an honor and a pleasure to welcome President Zelensky.
The Ukrainian leader met with President Biden on a previous visit to the United States in 2021. Russian and Belarusian forces have continued their joint military drills in Belarus, training urban assault techniques and forest navigation. Footage released by the Belarusian Defense Ministry, said to be shot in Belarus, showed tanks firing missiles, troops training in mock house interiors, and armoured people carriers driving through woodland. Earlier in the week, Russian President Vladimir Putin visited Minsk to hold talks with Alexander Lukashenko, fanning fears that a fresh ground offensive from Belarus would open a new front against Ukraine. Taliban officials have shut down protests after they announced they were banning women from universities in Afghanistan, sparking international condemnation. Here, one such protest taking place outside university buildings in Jalalabad. The ban further restricts women's education after girls were already excluded from secondary schools since the Taliban returned last year. Relatives of a deceased Thai Navy sailor mourned his death after his body was recovered and airlifted back to shore following the sinking of a military ship. The country's Navy Chief Admiral said the sinking would be investigated, including reports that there were not enough life jackets on board. The Thai Navy were continuing to search for 23 missing Marines still unaccounted for after the HTMS Sukhothai sank late on Sunday. Thousands of ambulance workers in England and Wales have walked out over pay, increasing the strain on a state-funded health service a day after nurses went on strike as the government advised the public to avoid taking risks. The government said the deeply regrettable strike would result in fewer ambulances on the road, with only the most urgent, life-threatening cases such as heart attacks prioritised.
I found it very, very difficult. I've been in the service 30 years and never has it come to this point. Now it's come to the point where we're going to have to suffer a little pain, and I mean us, as in the staff and the general public, to maintain the service, so in the long term we have the ambulance service.
The system will be under very significant pressure today. I think people can see that in terms of the fact that the trade unions are not covering all of the urgent calls, which themselves, category 3, can become very serious. So we're just saying to people to have that in mind in terms of when they're considering what activities they do today.
Elon Musk has said he will step down as chief executive of Twitter once a replacement has been found. He posted a message to the site saying, "I will resign as CEO as soon as I find someone foolish enough to take the job. After that, I will just run the software and servers teams." This is the first time Musk has mentioned stepping down as chief of the social media platform after Twitter users voted decisively in a poll for him to step down. And scientists have discovered hatchling and juvenile populations of the Galapagos pinkland iguana, an endangered reptile native to a sole island on the Ecuadorian archipelago, for the first time since it was discovered decades ago. Native only to the slopes of Wolf Volcano on the Galapagos' Isabella Island, the iguana is considered critically endangered, and according to estimates, just several hundred are left. Pink iguanas are born green and start to change colour later in life. Scientists and biologists say the discovery is an important step in the conservation of the species. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.